the thing is, there are so many physiotherapists and people that want to create this super physio thing for esports players. And of course, if you're an esports professional, maybe you could benefit from like special training, not to not get injured, for example. But to actually just get the beneficials from the health beneficials, but also your brain working good, it's super easy. You only need the 30 minutes exercise and getting your breath up. So that's everything. And then you do that 2, 3, 4 times a week. That's the only thing you need. You don't need to do anything special. Just get your breath up. You can run, you can dance, you can play some ball, you can do whatever, as long as you just move your body, and you will be healthier. So that's why I always say, just do something that is fun, that is easy, something that is close by, and do it attractive. Listen to some music, do some fun stuff. And one last thing also is to reward yourself. If you do something, if you do your exercise, maybe only that day, allow yourself to eat something good after, or maybe go to see some movie after, or do something fun after, rewarding yourself from the exercise, so if you can put all those things into your routine, it will make your routine so much easier.
Welcome to the podcast. Activecast is a podcast about exercise and training for streamers, gamers, and people with sedentary jobs. I'm your host, Marcus, or Fahloin as a username on Twitch and other platforms. This will be the last episode of the first season, but the podcast will be back with new great interviews for you all. It's been a really nice start to the podcast, and I thank you all so much for listening. While we are on a break, you can follow one of my training projects on TikTok or over at the podcast's YouTube channel, where you also find all the episodes. In this episode, I talked to Oskar Hemby, who is a Swedish health coach in esports and gaming. Oskar is one of the first people in the world that started working with esporters as a health coach. Coming from a background as an occupational therapist, he had an interesting journey to where he is today. He has been working with some of the biggest names on the esports scene, and he's also the author of the book, The Perfect Gamer. Oskar has a lot of knowledge and experience in the topic, so let's listen to what Oskar has to share with us. Hi there, Oskar. Welcome here to the podcast.
Hey, Marcus.
How are you doing? How are you doing today?
I'm very good. Having a little bit of vacation.
That sounds good. It's summer for us. You're in Sweden as I am. So it's vacation times here. So we had a little bit of a chat before here. We were both of us are Swedish speakers. We were speaking in Swedish, and then suddenly switching to English is always a little bit weird. But I think we'll manage this, and hopefully the listeners will catch everything we're saying.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. So we haven't met before, but I found you online when I was doing some research for the podcast, and you popped up in a number of places, and I got super curious about you and your story and what you are doing for especially the esport world, but then in the prolongation for gamers in general. So can you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, what you're doing, and a little bit about your history?
Yeah, sure. My name is Oskar Hemby, and I'm 32 years old. And I started working in esports 6 years ago. At the time I worked as an occupational therapist at elderly homes with Bengt 97 and Agda 93. Helping them getting in and out of their apartment and just living their life as good as they can. And then suddenly I just got the idea at the lunchroom. I think it was some lady that said, "Oh, the esports players, they're playing for millions and in a stadium, but they're still drinking Coca-Cola." And I was like, "Hey, I can do something about that. I actually know a lot about health. And I know for sure Coca-Cola is not the drink for the players." So when I came home that night, I just sat for like 8 hours straight, and I just fell in love with the idea of doing something myself in this industry. And as I saw the pros doing bad stuff like this, drinking coke and not moving, not exercising, not even standing from the desk between games, all those things, they look tired. And yeah, so I just started to do the research to see, like, is there anyone doing anything in this subject? And the only persons I found was one ergonomic guy from Netherlands, two physiotherapists from Canada, and one doctor from United States. And that's it, basically. There were like 4 people in the world working with this. And that's when I saw, that's when I realized I need to do something about this.
Yeah.
So I just basically told my girlfriend at the time that I'm gonna start working with this. And she was like, no, but you can't just leave your work. Do you have like a payment or anything? I just said, I'll move home to my mother or something to work with
dedication.
This is my dream. Yeah.
There is something in us that knows about training and health. When you see people just like athletes at that level, just sitting down and drinking Coca-Cola and being tired and not moving, and it's something triggers. So I can relate to your feeling for like, I can do something here.
Yeah, that's
for
good.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just, exactly as you said, I got triggered, and it was I just needed to do something about it. I had so much information to give them.
Yeah. All right, that's cool. So we can thank the old lady to trigger that thought in you. So when you had done that's a really like thorough research after work, like 8 hours just sitting down, and then you have a good idea there. So what did you do when you had done that research and like the idea started to form? So what was the next step for you then?
The next step for me was like doing a business plan, trying to see how can I move into this scene. And for me, it was kind of fate. I'm not religious, or I don't really believe in fate, but I was so lucky because the organization, the Final Tribe, which is now called Godsend, moved to Malmo, which is my city. Yeah. So I was so lucky because my uncle just sent me this newspaper thing where I saw this news that they were moving to Malmo. So I instantly got in touch with their CEO, and he was also very lucky, very interested in doing some healthy things. His guidelines was like exercising, sleeping good, eating good, all those things. So when I proposed my idea, me working with that team, then he just said, of course. Obviously, I didn't get so much paid in the beginning, but as I worked more and more, he saw things happening with the team, and them playing better, and then he started paying me, and then I got more and more clients as I went on.
A perfect match, you and Godsend, just like ending up in the same city and finding each other. Yeah, that's really good.
That was perfect.
Yeah, that's perfect. So when you get into a team like Godsend or other teams that you worked with, what is the first thing you're doing with the gamers or the athletes?
Yeah. So what I always do is when I start working with new players, I always do a screening. So I have a screening that I have worked. I've also worked with several nutritionists, psychologists, physiotherapists. So I've worked with other people together with teams as well. And we have created like a screening together, which the screening that I'm using today, it took like several years to create it and, edit it all the time and make it better and better. And today I think it's really good. And that screening is like 90 questions, which players usually don't really like because no one wants to answer 90 questions. But I always just say, this is just a standard procedure. This is what gives me the full information about you as a human being.
Yeah.
And how I can help you become the athlete that you want to be.
Yeah.
So they make this screening where there are questions about nutrition, about how they sleep, if they exercise, how they exercise, how their ergonomics is, and also different questions about mentality as well. So they answer all those questions, and then I usually have a hell of a job to,
to interpret that.
Yeah, exactly. Bring all this information. But then I usually do it. It takes a lot of time, but then I think I have a very good idea of how I can help every player. And it's always the same. They always have different troubles, and different areas where they can work more. And I always start with the area which is most troublesome, or which, of course, where they can work the most.
Yeah, the largest effect when they start working.
Exactly. Yeah.
So this screening, is that like, is it very focused on the athlete aspect, or could that screening, or a more simplified screening, could it be worked for on like, in quotation marks, ordinary gamers and streamers and so on?
It could, for sure. I've used it with streamers as well.
All right.
I mean, they're like not pros, but still like they play almost.
Yeah.
The hours are almost the same as pros, but I've used it with many different players, and in the screening you also answer how much you play and stuff, like other stuff in your life, how much do you sit and stuff like that, to see if there's other problematic areas in your life. But I think this screening you can use with like casual gamers as well, and it could just show where this gamer should work more to feel better and play better,
That's it. That's a massively interesting tool, to be honest, because I mean, streamers, some streamers are professional streamers, and they do that for a living, and they can easily sit like 10 hours streaming and doing the back work. With the backstage work on a stream, it's easily the double what you see on a stream. So if they stream for 5 hours, they easily work 10 hours. So that's cool. So it would be really interesting to see that. But you had worked with streamers too.
Yeah.
Do you see any? Can you see any like streamers usually have this pattern, or is it just widely different?
The problematic thing with streamers, I would say, I don't know how much it is now. It was maybe years ago I worked with streamers, but the problem is when they can't take breaks, because a professional gamer will take breaks usually because they play for an hour and then the game is over, and then they usually have this natural break, go and take some water and stuff. But the streamers, sometimes they don't take the breaks that are needed because there's so many people writing to you, and they just stick to the computer all the time. Taking breaks it sounds so silly, but it's probably the tip I've used the most, because it helps in so many different ways. It helps in the blood circulation. It helps not getting injured in different areas because you just sit down all the time. So it helps in so many ways, both health-wise and performance-wise.
So breaks is like that's the holy grail. Grail.
I think that's my number one, number one tool for every player, actually.
I mean, we talk a lot about that. Like streamers in the streamer community talks a lot about that. Some streamers are really good at it. They are taking like, but you cannot, when you're alive, you take like 2-3 minutes to go refill your water or whatever. But I say that 2-3 minutes is better than nothing. But it's hard to get like 10 minutes in because the chat will die out and so on. But so it's a challenge for sure.
Yeah.
But so to go back a little bit, you said it was an elderly lady that told you about this or asked you about this and where you got the idea. Have you worked with? Do you know if I know there are some a little bit older streamers that are like 75, 80 years old or so. But do you know if there are? And I think I've heard about some elderly team that
Silver Snipers.
Snipers, that's the one, because I heard of those. How old are they? They're like retired, like 70 years old.
I don't know, man. I think they are like 70 plus or 60 plus.
So how
they're doing something very nice.
Yeah, but have you worked with like people that are a little bit older? I mean, I'm old in the streaming community.
You mean if I combined my two very specialties, working with elderly people and also like esports and health?
Yeah, but I mean, it's like, I mean, they also, if they compete in esports, they also need to sit down on a computer a lot.
Of course, yeah. I mean, no, I haven't worked with any of them actually, but it would be fun to work with them.
Yeah,
for sure.
It would be interesting to see the comparison between the like 20 years old and the 70-year-olds.
Yeah,
for sure.
But still, I think, you know, since they are like experienced in the normal life, like not from gaming, I think they should have learned a thing or two during their life. So maybe they already know about taking breaks because they maybe done it in other things in their life. But if you have like a youngster that have just sat at the computer their whole life, not learned anything other of life, they are maybe more in the risk zone of not taking breaks and sleeping bad and eating bad.
So the older people or the elderly people, they have more. The foundation is there from the right way to eat and the right way to sleep and to move and so on.
I think so. That's my theory as well.
I mean,
or at least that's my theory.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds logical. So for me, I sign that theory too. I don't know if it is like that, but I for sure it sounds plausible for sure. So I know that this whole so you started a company, right? And now you are How many employees are you?
So go back to that. I started my own company called Esports HP, Esports Health and Performance Team. And what I wanted to do, first of all, I wanted to become like a health guru or health. How do you say that in English?
Health guru for gamers or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So I started my homepage called esportshealthguy.com. Just a random name out there. But I only had that site for like 1 month, but because then I just realized, damn it, I want to create a multi-professional. I want to have the best team, you know, in the world.
Yeah.
Because I saw there were some people that had a lot of competence in one subject, but there was no multi-professional team. And I wanted to have the team with all the professions to give all the competence an esports organization would need when it comes to health and performance.
Yeah.
So I started interviewing dietitians, physiotherapists, psychologists, doctors even, and then I just told everyone the same thing. Hello, I don't have a lot of money, but I have a really great idea, and I want to do this together with you. And suddenly, you know, I had like 20 interviews with physiotherapists.
Oh, wow.
So from not having anyone, I got the chance to actually choose who I would bring into the team, because there were other people that also had seen this problem or this gap between health in esports. You know, so 1 month later, I sit there with a big team. 2 physiotherapists, we had 2 psychologists and 2 dietitians, and we were having meeting every week. Trying to do something, who we should work with and everything. And then we got this first client, which was Godsend, and at the time they had the name The Final Tribe.
Yeah.
And then we had a really good collaboration with them, and then it just took off. We started working in FIFA. We started working with other professionals.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
that's a really nice story that you have a really, really good idea that you believe in, and then you get people to sign up on that. Those are the people you really want, because they sign up for the idea and not for the money. So
exactly.
Cool. Yeah. So how many are you now? 5 in the team?
Yeah, but so what happened is, like, this was 5 years ago. So during the years, like, one psychologist, he moved to Norway. We had a physiotherapist that got 2 kids. Life went on, and stuff started happening. Someone got a position at Karolinska Institutet, like working in science and everything. So, as the years went by, I started working more and more like a all-around health coach, because my specialty was ergonomics and just general health. And what I did, when we were talking about injuries, we brought in the physiotherapist. When we were talking about mentality, we brought in the psychology. But as the years went by, since I was the CEO, I always went on the workshops, So I got to learn so much. I basically created my own education with this team.
That's a fantastic.
I learned so much from everyone. Yeah,
a fantastic development for you, also, of course.
Yeah, so basically, I didn't make, I was living at my mother's to even, be able to do this, because I didn't have money to have my own apartment. So I had to sacrifice a lot.
Yeah,
but
of course.
I basically created a couple of years of my own education. I learned so much about psychology, and not only any psychology. I learned the psychology that was towards esports players.
Yeah.
And also from different psychologists, different psychologists' views on how they can help esports players. So then I just adapted everything. I just soaked all information up and also researched myself in every subject, and just
you're like a collected hive mind of all the knowledge there is to know about gamers and esports, around health. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So this ended up in you writing a book, right?
Yes.
So that book is called The Perfect Gamer?
Yes.
Yeah. And you told me just before here now, because The Perfect Gamer, that book is in Swedish and it's available. But you told me about...
It's coming in English this year.
Yeah. Can you tell me
it's already translated, and it's going to get published within a couple of months. So we're just working on the last parts now.
That's very exciting.
Yeah. And what is extra exciting in my mind is that this book is actually used in many schools in Sweden today. And I have like Finnish schools, American schools, Norwegian schools knocking on my door and saying, hey, when is the English version coming out?
That's amazing.
And that is so cool, because I'm so lucky that almost all the subjects in the book are in the curriculum of esports. How to be a healthy esports player.
So when you say schools, it's the esports schools, the esports gymnasiums and so on.
Yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit about the book? What is it? What's in the book?
So the book is basically what I have collected during my 6 years. I remember I never thought I would write a book. It was never a dream of mine or anything. But I have an uncle that is a very good entrepreneur, and he asked me every Christmas. I only meet him at Christmas, this uncle that you only meet once. And every Christmas he was telling me, hey Oskar, when are you releasing this book? And I was like, what? Man, what are you talking about book? I'm not gonna make a book. Are you crazy? And he was like, and next Christmas, same thing next Christmas. And I started bugging me. He started bugging me. It was like, can you stop asking me about this? I'm not gonna write this damn book, And then when he asked me like the fourth time, I came home and I was like, man, this uncle, he always asks me about this book. Can he stop doing this? And I was in my Google Drive and I was like scrolling in my documents and I was like, what? I have like thousands of documents of stuff that
there's already a book there.
Yeah, it's basically already a book. Yeah. So yeah, that's when I did the business plan, because what I've learned through my years is that if you want to do something in the scene or a project like this, you always need to make a business plan to see, is this something that I can do?
Yeah.
Because if I was basically just lucky when I started esports HP, because I had no business plan. I didn't know anything about it. I was not even an entrepreneur. So I just went into the dark and just, hey, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah. I mean, that's what you do when you have a really great idea that you really believe in, then you just go for it.
I mean, but I always say that I was just lucky, the final triad coming along and everything, it could have gone really bad, but actually I just fought through it and somehow I ended up in this position.
I mean, when the stars align and really hard work.
I guess. So
I
can tell you about the book.
Exactly. So what's in there?
So in the book, it's basically the 5 different subjects: nutrition, physical exercise, ergonomics, sleep, and mentality. So that's the 5 different subjects, and then I have one. So that's 5 different chapters as well. Every chapter is like 30 pages, so the book is on like 260 pages, and it's very basic, very very easy to read, and it's all the basic stuff that you need to know to be an esports healthy professional, or also, of course, just a gamer, a healthy gamer.
I mean, I guess you can translate, because you have been focusing on esporters and esport athletes, but I believe that you can translate very much of that into streamers, because they have similar like way to work on the computer, time wise, and sitting down a lot, and also a lot of gamers, because a lot of gamers plays a lot, especially if you so you probably can apply a lot of that's in the book on everyone that is in gaming and streaming.
Sure. Like many of the subjects are actually more directed to just casual gamers. So I would say it's maybe 50-50 in this book. Like, but as you say, it's applicable for all gamers as well. Not only the pro players.
So if you, I'm going to switch a little bit now, and because a lot of the listeners of this podcast, a lot of them are streamers and gamers, and I don't know, but I don't think I have too many esports athletes by now, but I hopefully will. But if someone is sitting down a lot, streaming or gaming, so what would you be your advice if they want to get going and they want to get into more healthy lifestyle, and nutrition wise and physical training wise? So what would be your advice, how to get started? Because I get that one of the main reasons why I started podcast was because I got the same question over and over and over again. I mean, it was, how do you motivate yourself to start doing it? And when you have started doing it, how do you motivate yourself to keep going? So do you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, it's a big question, but just to start off, like I could start in just saying this, that everything comes down to routines, you know, and how you put your routines into your daily life. You know, I've worked with so many professionals, especially in the beginning of my career, like 6 years back when I started working with different esports professionals. And what I usually made wrong, because I hadn't read so much about routines. I had all this information about how they could be healthy and everything, but you know, sticking it to your routines. What I did wrong with my clients at that point was that I usually just had the information and I gave it to them, like, you need to start working out 3 times a week. That's how you become healthy, and that's how you can increase your performance. And you need to start eating this. You need to start doing this and that. And then usually I got them on board, you know, because I was pretty persuasive. I was like, if you don't do this, you're just dumb, you know, you're not gonna perform. So if you want to win in your game, you should start doing this, you know. But what I didn't take in hand is, or what I didn't take in mind was that it's so hard to just change your routines from nowhere, especially when you've been living one way in your whole life, not exercising. If I tell you go exercise 3 times a week, like the first exercise is gonna feel like a brick in your face. It's gonna be so hard. It's gonna be, wow, is this exercise? This is shitty.
I'm never going to do this again.
So basically, what you need to do with your routines when you start, you know, changing over your life, usually it only works if you put those routines easy. For example, if you're gonna start exercising, do it easy. Don't take like a gym that is 30 minutes away, or you know, something that is super expensive. Do something that is close by and you cannot miss it. You should do it easy. You should do it obvious. Write it somewhere, like write it on your computer. Exercise today, or put it in your schedule. You should. Other things you can do is you can make it attractive. Like when you go exercise, listen to your favorite music.
Yeah.
And or do something that is fun. One line that is really cheesy is, but I always say it. It's the best exercise is the one that happens.
Yeah, for sure.
That is the best exercise, And the thing is, there are so many physiotherapists and people that want to create this super physio thing for esports players. And of course, if you're an esports professional, maybe you could benefit from like special training. Not to not get injured, for example. But to actually just get the beneficials from the health beneficials, but also your brain working good. It's super easy. You only need the 30 minutes exercise and getting your breath up. So that's everything. And then you do that 2, 3, 4 times a week. That's the only thing you need. You don't need to do anything special. Just get the breath up. You can run, you can dance, you can play some ball, you can do whatever as long as you just move your body, and you will be healthier. So that's why I always say, just do something that is fun, that is easy, something that is close by, and do it attractive. Listen to some music, do some fun stuff. And one last thing also is to reward yourself. If you do something, if you do your exercise, maybe only that day, allow yourself to eat something good after, or maybe go to see some movie after, or do something fun after, rewarding yourself from the exercise. So if you can put all those things into your routine, it will make your routine so much easier.
I had I think it was in episode 6 with a streamer called Part-Time Triggered. He also said that one of his main drivers, because he's training like a lot of martial arts in a very high level, and he said that one of his main drivers, first of all, not getting his kicked ass because it's martial arts, but the other one is food, because he always say that when he has had a really hard workout, he always reward himself with food, and that is what keeps him going. So rewarding oneself is really good. And I mean, the expression, the exercise that happens is the best exercise. That it's so true. It's just if you only need one line, that is the one you need to have in your head. And I always say that, like, lay down on your back on the floor, stand up again, and do that 5 times, and then you have moved more than just sitting.
Exactly.
So but that's good. That's a good advice. So if it comes to nutrition and stuff, I haven't talked very much on this podcast about nutrition, but can you say something, or do you know about this, first of all?
Of course,
because
it's one chapter in my book, so I hope I know something about.
But can you talk a little bit about that? How should one think about that? Because or how do you think about it, I should say?
I would say, like, first of all, just try to skip sugar as much as possible. But I guess, like, everyone knows about that. But I think you can't say that's enough to skip the sugar, because we know so much about it. We know that it's not good for you. It's linked with so many different sickness and or what do you say? So many different
illnesses.
So many different illnesses, and but also performance-wise, what sugar does, it goes into the body real fast, gives you a lot of energy, but it goes away so fast as well. So I have so many players I've worked with when they ate sugar or drank sugar, and they just, I played so good, but then I just was very tired in the end, and we lost the game, and I don't know what happened. I'm so sad now. I'm so tired now. And it's just the sugar,
So the refined sugar, like sodas and energy drinks and candy.
Yeah,
and
especially sodas,
Yeah.
And this thing about for example, Coca-Cola Zero is so much better. It's actually so much better than normal cola. And there's some people still saying that the zero or light versions are bad or have cancer or whatever. But the thing is that aspartame, which is the fake sugar, we can call it, is so studied. One of the most studied subjects in the world, and it like from 10 years research, we haven't seen anything bad from it.
No.
You know, so why not drink zero Coke if you want to drink something good while gaming? You know, just drink that instead.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically sugar is one thing, and then I think eating regularly. I actually have one really interesting story to tell about eating. I was working with the Godsend Counter-Strike roster, the first roster they had before, which was with Sticko, Crystal, Kevin, and company, Devilwalk, a lot of great, super known players. And we were playing 2 super important games in 2 days. So in the first day we were playing against, I think it was FaZe or Fnatic. Let's say it was FaZe. So they were like ranked 2nd in the world at that point. And that game was in the evening, and we it was a best of 3, and we won 1, lost 1, and then the last game we lost really big, like 16-3 or something. Then the next day we played against Fnatic. They were ranked 4 in the world at that time, I think. And then the same thing happened. Really close games. We won 1, lost 1, and the last one we lost really big again.
Same thing.
So I was like really angry because I couldn't recognize them the last game. And after those games, we always had like a talk after the games, like a long talk where everyone got to say what went good and what went bad from the game, to collect their thoughts and for them to move on from that match. And the 2 days they said the exact same things. They said, the first 2 games went good, but then I felt really tired in the last game. And the next one said, it was good, but my energy was so low in the last game. And the third one said, it was good, but I was not feeling it last game. And I was like, after that, the second match after Fnatic, I asked them, guys, stop. What did you guys eat during this day? Because this match was in like the last game was maybe 10 in the evening. So then I hear one saying, I ate like a sandwich at 2, and someone else said, I ate something at 2, and I ate something at 3, or I ate something at 1. And then I remember I worked with them for like 6 months at that time, and that was my first really big team, like working with the best players in the world, basically. So I had been a little bit laid back when working with them, but I remember that evening I shouted at them. I was so angry at them. I yelled. I said, you guys, what the hell are you guys doing? You say to me you want to become the best. You say to me you will become the best team in the world. And you don't freaking eat in 10 hours. And you just sjabbla bort. How do you say that?
You mess it up.
Like, you just mess your career up. By not eating. What are you doing?
Eating regularly.
You ate 10 hours ago. What do you think will happen to your energy? What are you doing? You're playing the rank 2 and 4 in the world, and you're basically just messing it up by not eating. I would understand you messed something up in game, but not eating. It's so easy.
It's like a football player go out there and not been eating for 10 hours.
It's the same thing. So I was really angry at them. But the fun thing is that the next day I got like message from everyone. Someone was, Oskar, can I eat a banana now and then after the game? And some other guy wrote like, do you have this nutritional plan for me? I want to start eating regularly. And so the thing there was that they hadn't eaten regularly. So that's my next rule, which is like my first rule was no sugar, but my next rule is eating regularly. I know there are different, nutritional plans that you can, how do you say fasting? But I think, if you have a regular life or you don't want to experiment too much, just eat regularly, because when you eat regularly, your energy will be very regular. You don't want to eat a lot. You don't even want to eat a lot before a game, because then your stomach will work with it, and you will lose focus.
Yeah, exactly.
So you just want to eat a little bit, like usually you say 4 to 6 times a day.
Yeah.
And that can also be like, for example, a banana can be one.
Yeah.
But as long as you just fill that energy up all the time, so it's just very stable.
And it's interesting that because I have been reading up very, very much about fasting and the intermediate fasting and stuff. I do that because I'm a ultra marathon runner and a climber, so I need to get my nutritions in the right place and so on. And the only really evidence for longevity and longevity is when you're having a good life for a very, very long time until you get very old. And the only really that is the science shows that is good is that 12-hour fast. So it basically if I eat the last meal at 8 in the evening and I don't eat until 8 the next morning, and then I can eat all over the day, but I have those 12 hours when I'm sleeping. That's the intermediate fast that you need from an evolutionary point of view, how our metabolism are set in our genes. And then they can, and what I understand that some of that can change in epigenetics, because especially in the Western world where we eat so much sugar, the genes through epigenesis change, so we are in this insulin producing state all the time, which is a part of why we get all the wellness illnesses we have. So but eating regularly within that 12-hour window is super important. It's for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So physical movement or training, that's a no-brainer. We really need to do that. And then you say no sugar and eat regularly. Is it like, do you have any don't eat meat, or do you only eat meat, or did they do that themselves, or how?
I mean, with the dietitians I've worked with, they all said basically the same thing. When I started working with my dietitians, I thought they would come with those super nutritional plans, 2.0, blah, blah, blah. But then when they had their workshops, like the first dietitian, the second dietitian, even the third dietitian, I saw that they didn't have anything special. It was just, this normal plate with some vegetables. And if you want to eat a burger, that's fine. You can just, they were just, no sugar and just taking care of, getting a lot of different ingredients into your body. That was and I think they use that because that's what we have in science right now. I know there's so much shit out there, with only eating meat, only eating, whatever. And some studies say that is good and that is good. But what we know for sure, I don't know, and maybe in the future we will have so much studies of some subject that, we should only eat meat, or we should not eat meat at all. If we have the studies that say it, I will probably, because I want to work through science.
Sure.
So I will work through whatever, it shows right now. But in this point, I will listen to the dietitians I've worked with, and the science that we are working with right now. And that is saying basically that, just eating regular food, not of course pizza every day, but getting some vegetables, getting some not too much fat. Sometimes reward yourself with a pizza. Don't be like, oh shit, I'm not gonna eat pizza ever.
No, exactly.
So I think if you just eat regularly, for example, me as an example, I've actually never cared of what I eat. I eat junk food a lot. I mean, not a lot, maybe.
No, but sometimes
maybe 3 times a week I eat junk food. I ate kebab today with a lot of sauce and everything.
So good.
But I got some. It's so good. In Sweden, Malmo, it's perfect.
Yeah, especially in Malmo.
But as long as I exercise and do all the other things correctly, I feel perfect.
Yeah.
So I think just that's how the body works as well.
So a variation of food.
Variation. Yeah, exactly.
A variation
and just everything you need.
Yeah, a variation and not too much.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting. We can talk about nutrition for hours, because I think that I agree with you. There's a lot of junk science in quotation marks out there. It's it's a lot of interpretations that are really far-fetched and so on. And as you say, I mean, the only science I have found around nutrition that I really feel that's this is something I can work with is the one that comes from longevity, because we have a very long studies what happens to the body in the long term. And it's good that you base your knowledge in the science that actually there and have been there for a long time, for sure.
Yeah, and I could add one last tip, which is about caffeine, right? Because caffeine is so big in esports, and gamers drink it all the time.
Yes.
And there I also have the tip that caffeine is actually, we know for sure that it increases the focus. So if you want to play better, I usually say go for it. Like drink caffeine. Like get it into your system, because you will get higher focus.
Yeah.
But the problem is that there are so many players over consuming. That is the problem, because then it's not only not helping, it's like even dangerous for you. It messes with your sleep, because usually caffeine is in our body for like between 4 or 8 hours or something like that. And even if you get to get sleep, it will be harder to get good sleep. If you have caffeine in your body. So and then you will overcompensate next day. I'm so tired. I need to take caffeine now.
Exactly.
And the thing that caffeine does, it actually does this. It blocks the sleep signal in your brain. It's because in your brain when you're sleepy, the signal pushes for you to tell you you're sleepy right now. And caffeine, it blocks this signal. So it actually blocks your brain from knowing that you're sleepy, but you are actually sleepy, which is very tricky with caffeine.
So you don't get into those deep sleep cycles as good or as long.
So I would say the tip is drink 1 or 2 cups of coffee or 1 can of energy drink, something like that. Don't over drink, and don't take 2 caffeine drinks or something like that. And do it not too late. Like if you're gonna like at least 8 hours before you're going to sleep. I would say.
I mean, it's the same as food. Not too much.
So,
I am one of those that have been drinking coffee for like 10 cups a day from like morning to evening. But about a year ago or so, I was looking at a lot of studies on caffeine, and so now for some time now I've been drinking coffee after 2 in the afternoon, and I can see that in my sleep cycle it's getting way better. I'm very much more alert in the morning when I wake up. It's not like just dragging myself out of bed. It's actually like I don't even put my alarm on now. I wake up when I need to wake up, and I'm rested. So it's a massive difference. So for sure. So we need to wrap up a little bit here. I'm about to ask you if you can come again and we can do more, because I can sit with you a whole day here. But I have 2 questions that I always ask all people I interview. Most people I interview are streamers and gamers, but I think you can answer these 2. But so those 2 questions are: which are your favorite exercise? And the other one is what is your favorite game to play a video game?
Okay. My favorite exercise, I think, is can I say badminton?
I mean,
or
sure.
It's a sport. Sure. I don't actually like going to the gym so much. I still do it. But my favorite thing is either badminton or soccer. I hate running. I hate bicycling. But if you put a ball in the game, if you put a ball or something for me to run towards, I will run like there's no tomorrow.
All right.
So I love sports.
It hurts me as a running coach.
Sorry.
It's all good. Sorry. I understand that.
And my favorite game, like back in the days, my favorite game was Pro Evolution Soccer, which is a soccer game. And I think, like, even if I work in FIFA nowadays, I've worked in FIFA like 5 years with Malmö FF's FIFA team. And worked with some of the best players in the world. I think I don't actually like FIFA so much. It's too much RNG, too much strange things going on. And back in the days, the soccer games were actually, if you played it much, you would destroy your opponent 10-0. But it's very hard to happen today, because it's more like noob rewarding, you could say, or noob friendly.
Yeah.
But so it could be a soccer game, but instead, since FIFA is not that good nowadays, I think Dota 2 is my favorite game. Yeah.
Super hard game. I've tried it. It's
super hard. And I hope it's not too hard for people to play it, because I'm scared that it will die because it's too hard for new players coming into it.
It's so complicated.
It's very complicated. Yeah.
I mean,
when you're into it, it's super fun.
Yeah, I can imagine. I've tried. I competed a little bit on amateur level in CS 1.6 back in the days, but I haven't like gone into any esports game after that. But I've been playing a little bit League of Legends, and I was like, yeah, it's the same as Dota 2. And then I tried Dota, and I was like, what the hell? It's like it was so hard, so complicated. Yeah. But it's a fun game, and it's fun to watch, and it's amazing to watch the players who really know what they're doing. All right, so Pro Evolution Soccer was the favorite game, or Dota today then, and badminton.
Yeah.
All right. So are any last words or advice or thoughts that you want to give our listeners before we ending this?
Well, we didn't talk so much about mentality and ergonomics and sleep. I don't know if I can give any tips. Maybe we will take that in the next chapter.
I mean, we can do another chapter if you're after. Yeah. We'll see. Yeah. But if you say those 5 things you have in the book, can you say one of them that are more important than the others, or they are like intertwined, so we need them all equally much?
Of course, I would like to say they are intertwined and you need them all, but I mean, mentality and how you think about things. I mean, you cannot think yourself to, eating. You need to actually eat. But when you help yourself mentally, I think that is super important for you to begin with everything else. But also, there are like, if you start exercising and eating well, you will actually think more positive and feel better, and that will help your mentality, and then it will create this good circle. So I think just starting at the mentality and I'm not exercising, not eating well, I'm not sleeping, I'm super tired, but I'm gonna be a mental beast now. It's not gonna work like that. You need to think about all the stuff. I think so.
They work together, all of them.
I think so. It's pretty boring to say it, but I think you need them all.
I don't think it's boring. I think it's actually something we need to realize. Yeah. Because it's not that you can do one thing and think that the other one will just fix themselves, because they're not. And if you are working out more, then you sleep better. But you need to sleep good to be able to work out good. So they're like, All right, Oskar. Thank you so much for your time and for being here. It was very interesting to listen to your story, and we'll see if we can make another episode further down the line.
Yeah, I see forward to listening to more of your episodes.
Thank you. And I will let you go now, because I know you will go play badminton after this.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Activecast. If you want to know more about the topics we talked about, don't be shy to post a comment on our YouTube channel. You can also send your questions directly to Activecast through Twitter, or mail to activecastpod@gmail.com. You find links and addresses in the show notes and in the description of the episode on YouTube. I would appreciate it a lot if you like, rate, and review the podcast wherever you listen to it. Also subscribe and interact on YouTube. This helps the podcast a lot to be able to reach a new and wider audience. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you again after the break.